Alright guys and gals, welcome to today's project. Today we're working on the 1971 Chevelle. Last time, if you checked in with us, you see us working on the front clip. This is a continuation of that. Where we left off last time was working on this radiator hold down. Alright? What I come to find out, the aftermarket parts and the modifications that we made, this no longer fits, okay? So this is what we're going to do. Back to the floor with that thing. We made a new one, all right? And I already had the radiator in here fit up nice. Now, this holds it real good. So what we're doing today, we're getting everything ready so we can get it prepped, start doing our body work, get this thing in epoxy primer. That's the goal. That's where we're at today. So, got a couple good, cool things going on, a couple little tools we're going to show you. We're going to save a lot of the boring stuff and speed through that and get you to some fun stuff. All right. First thing I'm going to show you, new tool. Check this thing out. This is a drum sander from Eastwood Company, all right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've stripped a lot of cars using the DA sander. Not so much fun, okay? Takes forever, all right? This thing here is going to change your life. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little area here. We're going to use this to let you see how it works, and then I'll save you the drama of doing it all, and we'll get it done. Get this thing going. All right, check it out. Same thing with the rotary buffer. Let the machine do the work. It's a pretty heavy machine. It's not unmanageable, but it still has some weight to it, so you don't need to force it in there, all right? Let the drum work. Let it do. Here's another thing I'm telling you about this tool that I really like, okay? I can lay my hand on this right after hitting it, all right? And you see me work that area. It's barely warm, okay? So what that's going to do for you on these bigger panels, save you a lot of trouble with warpage and things of that nature. All right, guys and gals, we're going to get this going. We'll cut you back on when we got some good stuff to show you. All right, guys and gals, I figured we'd take an opportunity here. Let you see just a little bit of this in action. All right, we got a fresh panel. What this is Eco primer, okay? And some of you might be wondering, why are you taking that off? Well, I'll tell you why. I've seen a lot of these manufacturers, okay? They mass produce these parts. They store them in warehouses and things of that nature. We want to make sure that what we're working with is good base, okay? So we're going to take our drum sander, get this Eco primer off here. That way we can do what we're going to do to it without having any hesitations whether it's going to stick or not, all right? You see what this looks like. That way you can get an idea of how this actually works. Check that out. Okay, just remove. You can see that's just dust. It really takes her down quick. All right, and this byline. Look how sharp his byline is. These type of wheels. Now, I will tell you, be careful what drums you get, because they're different grits, different, you know, for different things. This one that I have is designed for this. So it's not going to rip any material away. It's just going to clean the surface and condition it so you can do your prep work or your primer, anything you need, all right? You blow that off, wipe that down, you're rolling. I'm telling you. Good tool there. Good tool. All right, so let's get this stripped down and then we'll get going. I'll cut you back in when we're ready. All right? All right, guys and gals. Back on the 71 Chevelle. All right, now we got this all sanded down to bare metal. Used our drum sander. And look at this cove here on the top of this fender. All right? That machine just goes in there and you just go back and forth and gets all that out. Look at that. All right, you can see, let me get close here. It's not scarred up. You can see this little bit here. That's just a little bit of E-coat primer left. We're going to get that done. But it does a really nice job for us. All right? That sure beats a DA sander, I tell you what. All right, now we're going to get this cleaned off, blowed off. Let's make some mud up. Let's get this thing smoothed out. We'll click it back on when we get to that point. All right. All right, guys and gals, here we are. Let's get this mixed up. Now, what I got here, Evercoat Rage Extreme. It's extreme. Got our hardener, a couple mixing paddles. All right, now, check this out. Okay. I've had this. I've probably done 3, maybe 4 cars with this. Probably gonna end up doing this whole car and still having some left over. All right. Now, if you go and you start doing body work and you find you need more filler than what you think you should, maybe you should go back and address the metal work a little bit. You don't want this stuff super thick, okay? This is just to take up slight imperfections in your panels. All right. Now, I will suggest that you start off with small amounts because we're going to mix this stuff with a hardener. It's not going to wait for you to go to lunch and come back and all that good stuff. Okay, you can see what I got here, a little good word of advice, okay? Take cap off this, squeeze a little air off. You want to knead this hardener, okay? Because it'll separate if you don't use it often. Even if you're using it in the same day, just take a second. Mix this stuff up. Last thing you want is just to blast all the liquid out of it while you're trying to mix your mud up. All right? They call it kneading. Knead your hardener. I'm thinking that's a bacon term. So that's what we're going to do. Like a little bit more than a pea-sized amount. And you'll figure it out as you go along. The more you do it, the more you'll know how long it takes. Now, guys and gals, do not stir this up, all right? You want to fold this over and work it in, all right? You don't want to put air bubbles in your filler. That's no good. Now, what you're looking for is an even, consistent color as you mix this up. You don't want it streaky, okay? This is a 2-part product. You need to mix it well. All the hardener activates, all that good stuff. You get a nice, consistent. Now, I do have a tendency of using a mixing paddle and then keeping one that I'm going to spread with separate. All right. All right. So now that looks like that. Nice and even. And here's a tip: wipe your mixers off, okay? Because you'll go to put that on your panel and drag it to thin it out. And you'll find that there's some mud on there that hasn't been mixed. All right, so that's what you want. A nice, even, consistent color all the way through. All right, guys and gals. There you go. That little bit of filler, it's so thin, look how far it went, okay? I was able to get that front piece that we made, welded that all the way around there, if you remember. Now, I know it looks like a lot, but a lot of this is going to be sanded off and disappear. But you guys seen what we mixed up. That's all we used. All right? You notice I left the holes here because the wiring harness and everything, there is straps that hold that down. Okay? And washer line. So, we didn't want to get rid of them. Over here, jack mount. We're going to use that for something else though. Okay, so there you go. We're going to let this harden. Get her sanded down and show you what we got. All right, guys and gals, we're back. 71 Chevelle project. So what I got here, I got a couple sanded blocks, okay? Now these are hard blocks, from Dora block, obviously. These things are probably 20, this one isn't, but these are probably 20-some years old. So, if you're going to do a lot of this work, go ahead and get yourself some good sanding blocks. They're going to come in handy in a lot of places. The flatter the surface, you know what I mean? The flatter the surface, the better the end result. Now, I got 40 grit on this. This is almost dry, but not quite, okay? And what I'm going to do is just come in here and preliminarily cut this down in X pattern. And what I'm trying to do is get this as flat as possible to see where I'm at. Okay, and you can see right here, look. That stuff's so thin, I'm already back down to the sheet metal. Which is what you want. Just like I said. You're not making the body out of this stuff. You're fixing the slight imperfections that are in your body work. Now you'll see, okay, look how quick I came back down the bare steel. Now, I'll save you the trouble of watching this exciting stuff here. We'll just cut you back on when we get it all sanded down. Now, this step, I'm only going to use 40 grit, okay? Just to get me to where I know where I'm at, so I know what I'm working with. Let me get that done and we'll show you what that looks like. Click you back on here in a minute. All right, guys and gals. Here we are with our 40 grit, sanding this little filler down, getting this smoothed out. Now here's a tip for you, okay? I'm sure the majority of us carry a pocket knife. Take my little chicken spur here. I'm going to go around these edges. Alright? Just to clean up any of that little mud that got over there. Okay? Same thing with these holes. Remember here, these are the mounting holes for our little trim piece. Just go ahead and go around them. You don't want to wait until after you prime and all that stuff, because once you cut them out, you're going to be back down to where this filler was, and you don't want any exposed filler. Alright, this is just dust in here. There you go. Little chicken spur in there, get that action. Oh, that's nice. All right, there you go. Now we're gonna get this blowed off. We're gonna get another little trick out to show you guys and gals and help you get your body flat and straight. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with you. All right, guys and gals, we're back. So what we got going on here today, we're doing the mud work here to get this thing flattened out so we can get it in epoxy primer. Now, as I promised, here's another little trick. Check this out, okay? This is powdered guide coat. All right, you can get this at your local paint supply place. This stuff is gonna save you an immense amount of guessing, okay? So all you gotta do, put a little powder on your pan, poof it around like, you know, like you put your makeup on. I don't know if this is how you put makeup on, but that's what we're going with. All right, now, I will tell you, they sell this stuff, like I said, paint supply place. It's just a little poofer with the powder in there. Now, I've had this a while, okay? It ran out. It was like a Sunday, paint supply place, closed. I still wanted some guide coat. So what I ended up doing was going to our local hardware store, where they just so happen to have black chalk, okay, for construction. I just filled it with black chalk. Seems to be working just fine. $30 for that one. I paid $4 for the chalk. So what this is going to do for us, okay, see if I can't get you in here. What this is going to do for us is it's going to give us an idea of where our imperfections are. We're going to use that as a reference while we're sanding. It's another neat little block here too, by the way. All right, this is kind of soft, a little flexy, but not too bad. Harder side, softer side. Okay, So a lot of times you'll see I just take these DA pads, wrap that. Now what we're going to do is, same thing, our X pattern. This is 80 grit now. And you'll start to see that guide coat, it's guiding you where you have your imperfections, okay? You might need more, you might need less, might need to sand around it. You know, like I said, as you go along, you'll figure out what it wants, what it needs to make it work. And you'll notice I'm sanding in all directions, but I'm keeping that X pattern to flatten my surface out. So there you go. All right, now you can see, okay? See the guide coat that's still left? A little bit here, a little bit there. That's a cool little trick. That'll save you a lot of guessing, because a lot of times you'll get in these situations where you start sanding and everything looks the same. And you just keep sanding and sanding, and you're making just more work for yourself. So go ahead and take that and put that in your little toolbox. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. So let me get this sanded down and I'll click it back on when we get that done. Show you what it looks like. All right, now you can see what our guide code does for us. All right. Get you in there. What that's going to show us is our low spots, high spots. Now you guys can see, look, this stuff is paper thin. I mean, it's almost transparent. It's so thin. All right, over here on the fender, look. That was our little dimples from manufacturing process. Over here, same thing. Now you'll see, I got one last add here. All right, guys and gals, and then we're going to get to putting some epoxy primer on this guy. I just wanted to show you that. Now we're just going to repeat the process that we did when we first started. We're going to add our mud, hit it with 40, hit it with 80, hit it with 180 to get rid of the fine scratches. Get this thing an epoxy primer. All right, guys and gals. Back with the 71 Chevelle here. All right, let's get in here and let you see this. Now, that's our filler piece we made. That's our radiator support piece we made. Got everything body worked out, ready to go. Now you can see, that's super thin. We didn't end up leaving a whole lot of that original filler on there. But that's where we're at, okay? Inner fender's done. Got all that going on. Let's get this guy an epoxy primer. Now, I will go around this thing, red Scotch Brite the whole thing, get it all scuffed up so it has some tooth. But I'm just gonna save you the trouble watching that. All right, we'll click you back on when we get ready to spray this thing epoxy primer. All right, now, come on. Okay, guys and gals, here we are. Epoxy primer time. We're gonna get this mixed up here. Now you want to make sure that you mix this thoroughly, okay? Because there's some solids in this stuff. You don't want to just have laying on the bottom. Get that mixed up good, good. Now this primer, Shopline epoxy primer here, and the hardener, okay? We're gonna mix that at a 2-to-1 ratio. Now I did go over with this wax and grease remover, and I use Shopline just because that's what's available to me in my area. Whatever you prefer to use, you know. You get accustomed to using, you're comfortable with, go for it. All right. Now this is our primer only gun. If we just spray primer out of this. Now it says the bigger needle in it for distribution of this heavier material. All right. So let's get this going. I'm going to mix this up, get this loaded in the cup. We're going to strain this as we put it in. Go over here to the parts and let's get it going. All right. We'll click you back on when we're there. All right, guys and gals, we're here finally. Epoxy primer time. Got my gun all loaded up, my 2-to-1 epoxy primer. Got it mixed up, let it sit for 15 minutes. A lot of this stuff you need to read the instructions. It has to acclimate. All right, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this thing all one color again. gals, can you believe it? Finally got her an epoxy primer. Now this is the first coat, okay? We're gonna put 2 medium wet coats on this guy, but I just couldn't help it. Let's get you in here. Look at the body lines on this. Boom, chicken. Even the neighbor's dog's excited. Alright guys and gals, there you can see, you got the inside, the outside, first coat on. I gotta tell you, I'm digging it. I can see our top plate here, what we were after. Look how smooth that looks. Got all our body work in there, okay? Now this is gonna take some refining, right? This is just stage 1 of many to come. But just goes to show you, when you take your time, you fit things up. Look how nice it looks when you put it together. Okay, white epoxy primer. And the reason I did white epoxy primer is because this is just what I had left over. The main goal I needed to get here was these panels stripped, the initial bodywork started, and then protect them by putting them back in the epoxy primer. Now I'll tear this whole thing apart, take all these pieces, and we'll prime them in high build primer in black, okay? And that'll be our last step before we start doing paint prep and getting this thing in some color. Oh my. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, we'll get you clicked back on after we get the second coat done. Alright guys and gals, here we are. Second coat. White epoxy primer. Let's get this done. So what I'm going to do here, okay, I'm going to pay attention, cut all my angles in, cut all my tough areas in first, and then we're going to come back and then flow it out. There we go. Alright guys and gals, here we are, back on the 1971 Chevelle, the crown jewel. Got 2 coats of epoxy primer laid on here. Looking good. You can't eat both of them at once there, Feeny. Oh, okay, maybe you can, my bad. Alright, let's take a walk around. Here's our front piece we did. Look at how smooth that is now. That air is going to go whoo, right in that radiator. Do its radiator things so much better. Look how nice that is. That transition just right into the engine bay. Okay, and we got our piece made up as well. Got that all primed, ready to go. Look at the body lines of this thing. Let me get you in here. Boom, chicken. Holy smokes. That's nice. We went in here and did the inner fenders, you know, primed all that stuff. Get everywhere you can. We're trying to preserve these cars for future generations. You know, we want them to get infected with the hot rod fever. All right, guys and gals, you know why we do it. For the love of hot rods and horsepower. Go out there and get yourself a project. Start enjoying it.